It is Saturday night, and we are Spooky Live. Hey, it's working now. I guess I freaked myself out before. I can only blame myself for that. We are Spooky Live. We talk about the paranormal right here on Spooky South Coast every Saturday night. We're ready to do it again. Tonight, we're going to cover a couple of different topics. We might be joined by Matt Moniz in the field with a member of the BFRO, talking about some Bigfoot stuff for a little bit. And then coming up after that, I want to cover a topic that we haven't covered quite a while here on Spooky South Coast. I don't think since the first year we've done the show. And that's the topic of nightmares. I want to share some of our nightmares, if you're willing. I'm not going to force anybody. And we also will find out, you, the audience, what scares you? What gives you nightmares? What kind of nightmares have you had? We'll talk about all that and more coming up on episode, is it really 493? Episode 493 of Spooky South Coast starts right now. And welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Costa and Stephanie Burke. And we are here, as I said, to talk about the paranormal, as we are each and every Saturday night. And tonight we have, really, it's kind of a creepy vibe in here tonight. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but there's something about tonight that just isn't sitting right with me. And I don't mean, the usual complaining about
the usual
technology working against us and all that.
There's a lot going on in the universe right now anyway, so that could be it.
Well, I feel like something is extra creepy tonight. I don't know why I'm feeling this. It could be the weather.
The weather's weird. We have 4 planets going into retrograde at the same time. So that could be it too. That affects everybody.
Maybe. It could also be the fact that I've been up since like 4 o'clock this morning.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. I came in and I worked the morning news shift here, filling in for Jim Phillips. And then I stuck around way too long.
Way too long.
And then when I was done like goofing off, I had some stories that I still had to write. So I didn't end up leaving here till 6:30 at night.
I don't know how you do it.
Went home, took like a half an hour nap, left, went to Radio Shack. And I can say Radio Shack on the air, even though they're not a sponsor, because there's like no time left for Radio Shack to be anything. Like the Wareham one's closing. That's it. Radio Shack's over, and my heart's breaking. Because
your heart is breaking. Spooky
South Coast is kind of powered by Radio Shack.
We're
powered by a lot of things, Matt Costa. We're powered by 7-Eleven, Mountain Dew, $5 pizzas. But we're also powered by Radio Shack. So I went and I bought all the little headphone adapters that they had. I bought every one of them, Stephanie. 10 of them.
Every one?
Yes. And they were supposed to be like $1.24, and they rang up at like $1.12. So the guy's like, "Whoa, you got an even better deal." I'm like,
that's awesome, though.
Damn right I did. So now we'll be able to hear through our headphones all the time.
See that?
Because those are like gold around here. Because every pair of headphones needs them.
Right.
And because everything works on 1/4-inch jacks around here. And they lose them. And they borrow them. They put them in another room. Then nobody can find them. And so, they basically become something that people will trade children for. They will trade, some.
Right.
I've seen people sign over the deed to their house.
You gave me my first one.
And it was probably your last one, too. Because you're not like the rest of us. You don't lose things.
I do not lose things.
But I do. So that's why I bought all that they had left. But hey, if I lose them, I'll find another store where I can wait for them to go out of business. Thanks, Internet.
Thanks, Internet.
Excuse me. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I still have no mucus anymore.
No mucus.
To get gross.
That is pretty gross.
A constantly dry cough and a constantly dry throat.
Would you rather the mucus?
So we're going to do our best here for me to talk tonight. And we are going to talk about the paranormal, I promise. Did you see that, while we're waiting to connect with Melody for the Week in Weird, did you see that? I posted it earlier today. I stole it off Bob Christopher's Facebook. He had posted it. So there's this announcement that came out of this new, I guess, TV series. I don't know if it's actually on television or if it's something that's going to be
I did see that.
If it's going to be on the internet, excuse me, I know I shouldn't cough on the air. That's terrible, Tim.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, right? You can't help it.
But as a professional, I should know to turn the mic down and turn away from it. But we have this show.
Yes.
That is an all-female paranormal team.
Mm-hmm.
Every all-female paranormal team, by the way, is always the first.
Yes, naturally, because
it's always being put together by people that have never paid attention to the paranormal before.
Ever. Right.
And don't realize that there's multiple all-female teams.
I mean, the first female team to get on TV, maybe, but, well, for their own show, I should say.
There's multiple female teams that are out there that aren't even involved with television projects, that are just investigation teams that are made up of all females.
That's what I meant.
So, like, it's an insult to them to call yourself the first. But
right.
So this
Agreed.
show that is being, it's called Ghost Stockings, not like a stalker, like stockings, like what you hang up at Christmas time, and they're already pushing events with the cast of this show that I've never even heard of yet.
Yep.
And they're calling it TV's new sensation, and I don't know anything about it. You can see the network TV pilot. 5 steamy ladies take on the paranormal.
That makes me so uncomfortable.
Listen, I'm not going to crap on anybody until I know a little bit more about them. We went through the whole situation with...
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Pretty Paranormal, whatever it was.
Yes.
I don't know what the exact name they
I think
eventually
that was
settled
it.
on.
But well, that was the original, yeah.
They had good intentions and good interest in it, but they were a victim of the marketing. It was being put together by a TV producer that thought he knew what was going to sell. Of course, it didn't. It didn't go anywhere.
Right.
But that's why they were kind of pigeonholed into this, sexy girls hunt for ghosts thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that Brian Cano actually made a good point on the post where he mentioned, how is this any different than, say, Zach Bagans walking around in a tight T-shirt showing off his muscles,
Right.
And it's a good point. Is it because, most of these shows are already comprised of men that if attractive women want to get involved in it? And again, I don't know anything about these women. I don't know about their backgrounds. They have roles assigned to them, which is it's always a punch in the gut as a person that works in this field.
Yeah.
To see when they're like, we have Dawn, the scientist.
Yeah.
Catherine, the sweet one. Shut up. Just be who you are and let everybody else kind of figure out who you are.
Right.
Don't pigeonhole yourself and put yourself into a role. But anyway.
But that right there, this group or not, if somebody is telling me, oh, this is so-and-so, the sweet one, that makes me feel like I don't want anything to do with that entire thing because it's
because you
too
hate anybody
scripted.
that's sweet?
No.
You're like, screw you. You should be evil.
I'm not that bad.
I know.
But it just makes me feel like it's scripted.
Like we have Kristen, the enthusiast. Shouldn't you all be enthusiasts?
Right. It's
like,
not genuine.
Why are you doing this if you're not enthusiastic about it?
Right. And this has nothing against these girls.
Then there's 3 girls
that have nothing.
That don't have a role yet. I don't know. I don't know if
it's kind of
again,
insulting.
I can't read the whole poster because of the
right. Well, they didn't crop it right. Right.
So it's I think it's like a picture of a picture. So I can't see exactly what they're pushing them. I don't know if they're necessarily part of the TV show. I can't tell.
Can I be totally blunt and honest? And I know this is going to come as a huge surprise to everybody that knows me and listens to me every week. That poster, the way that it was designed, looks like one of those weekly posters for one of Rhode Island's strip clubs.
Maybe that was the intention. Maybe that was the idea.
Doesn't it, though? Like, it just looks like a cheesy poster.
Just to be fair, you're not calling these women strippers.
No, I am not. Absolutely not. And I've already said this has nothing to do with these women.
This one, and I don't know, Matt, I should have given these to Matt to put up on the screen. I feel terrible talking about them. But this one, this looks like it was on the back page of the Phoenix.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. It's very poor marketing.
Or very good marketing, depending on what it is that you're going for.
Could be.
Well, anyway, we can talk more about that coming up a little bit later on. But right now, let's bring up Melody. We have her on the line, and I got to make sure that I put everything right here. Matt, do we have to go on audition for her to hear us? Remind me. Okay. All right. Let's see if Melody's with us. Melody, you there? We can talk more about that coming up. Oh, Melody, we can. Oh, turn down your radio. I know she's on Skype. On the line.
Yes.
All right, you gotta take down your speaker because we can hear
hear me?
ourselves. Yes, we can hear you. You ready?
Yeah, we can hear us.
You gotta turn down your speaker. All right. Let's see if Melody's with us. Melody, you there? See, this is if we could do this.
Okay, how's that?
Oh, Melody.
Nope.
I can still hear myself. I know she's on Skype. What?
Yes.
All right, you gotta take down your speaker because we can hear ourselves. See where we got.
All right, how about now?
We got a loop happening. Ready?
Yeah, what's going on?
Nope. You know what? Melody, you gotta cut. This is why I told you to get a headset, Melody. If we could do this.
Okay, how's that? Okay. It might be the service of where I'm at right now because I'm like on the side of the road in the car.
All right. Well, why don't you try calling in directly? You still have the VIP call-in number? See where we got.
Right, how about yeah.
All
Let
right,
me call
try
him.
that. We'll do it that way. Nope. You know what? Huh? Oh wait, Melody, that might be me. Hang on. You get a headset, Melody.
Yep.
I feel totally like an ass now. It was totally my fault.
Wow,
I'm gonna bring her
Tim.
back in. Oh
Wow.
my God, I am the big
Wow.
jerk tonight.
You are.
Melody, I'm the jerk
Why?
because it was me.
We blame him.
I have the stream
it's
up.
you?
I have the stream up on the computer, so I was the one creating the loop.
Oh, way to go.
So you owe me a punch in the gut. All right. So
Well noted. I will remember that.
I am going to play you your fancy intro, and then we'll get into the Week in Weird.
All right.
Well, okay. How do we put that up, Tim? There you go.
Spooky South Coast presents The Week in Weird with paranormal news correspondent Melody Knapp.
All right, Melody. Now I think we're ready to do this the right way. Like Matt said, you've only been doing this 11 years, Tim. All right, what do you have for us this week?
All right. Good evening.
Oh, that's not me. She just cut out. That wasn't me.
What is going on?
Is that stupid Mercury thing happening?
Yeah,
Welcome
it
to
is.
the latest news.
Whoa, this is not me.
So Mercury's going into retrograde at midnight.
All right, Melody, we can't hear you. You're gonna have to call in on the phone. We're super pros at this tonight.
Well, nobody ever listens to me in my Mercury stories.
Hey, it could be worse.
It absolutely could.
He says as he prepares for the worst. I'm just sending her the...
She also said that she has really bad service. So that could be why, and her phone call might not be better for that reason. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Well, I'm just trying to send her a message.
Hopefully she gets it.
You can talk while I'm typing.
I can talk.
Yeah.
I can tell everybody about Mercury retrograde.
Let people know about the events that are coming up.
Oh, we have a lot of events coming up.
We want to
So
discuss.
we, Tim and I will be together in Provincetown for Provincetown Paracon on May 12th to the 14th. So anybody that has not gotten their tickets to that yet, I believe that there is a special going on right now for an all-access pass for $113, I believe, which is discounted. But they have so many different tiers of... You guys can hear Tim in the background. Sorry about that, but... Yes, Tim, you should have closed the door. So you guys can check out provincetownparacon.com to come hang out with myself, Tim Weisberg, Amy Broody, Adam Berry, and Dana and Greg Newkirk will be there with their Traveling Occult Museum, which I'm actually really excited about to see all the different artifacts. I've heard so many different stories. So we will be there. Good going, Tim. Good going. You are like pro status tonight, man. Pro status.
You know what it is? It's because I got this chair.
See that?
So I'm way too relaxed.
See that? So I just talked about Provincetown Paracon. I will be with Strange Escapes with Amy Bruni, Adam Berry, Dustin Perry, and Ty Goen up in Mount Washington in New Hampshire. on the first weekend of May. So check that out, definitely strange-escapes.com to come hang out with us. Tim, you will be...
Yeah, we have Salem Con coming up in 2 weeks.
We do have Salem Con.
Yeah, don't
That's
forget
right.
that. That'll be happening the 21st and the 22nd?
Yes.
I want to make sure I get the dates right. Every date that's going through my head right now between conventions, events, we have all the different weekends that I'm trying to book the TV show that I'm working on.
Right.
Like everything's all mushing together. So Salem Con in 2 weeks.
Yes.
There's still some tickets available for that, but I think the VIP packages are gone. There's, as you mentioned, Provincetown Paracon.
Right.
You have the Strange Escapes event.
First weekend of May.
And then I'll be on the Strange Escapes cruise.
Yes, you will.
Which will be, what's it, the third weekend? Starts
fourth.
Starts with Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
I believe.
Right. So that's exciting too. And I have a psychic development class coming up on April 29th. So you guys can go to www.stephburke.com to check that out. What else we have going on?
Well, I'll tell you this much. What we do have going on in the next hour is we're going to do the Week in Weird then.
Okay.
Because we're going to give Melody a chance to get to
Some
a place
service.
where there's a better... She's going to be home by then.
Okay.
So she'll be able to have much better service. See, this
All
is,
right.
as I say every week, the Week in Weird is still a work in progress.
Right.
Like, when
We're
you think
working on
about
it.
this, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I talked about wanting to have somebody that's a correspondent. It was going to have to be recorded. We couldn't do it live. So we're progressing. We're trying to take
Right.
advantage of the technology that's out there. And we'll figure it out. But the problem is, you know, it's a weekend. Everybody's busy. It's hard to really
Right.
make plans to have exactly how it's going to go. So, as I say to her, you know, if you can't make it in a particular week, that's fine. But she was at something else, and she's trying to make sure that she can make it for this week. So I said, don't sacrifice quality
No, we can't do that.
just to do it at a certain time. We can always push it off till later in the show. And, you know, if for some reason there's a week where she can't do it, that's fine too. We don't always have to talk about the news.
No.
Talk about news all week. Speaking of news, weird news. I'll save this till we talk about the Week in Weird later.
Okay.
But don't let me forget to mention, if Melody does not bring it up, don't let me forget to mention the mermaid.
Okay.
Because the mermaid story blew up huge
Okay. over
the last couple of days. And we can put a good plug in for our friend who runs a website that's
Okay.
associated with it. So
You got it.
Wow, I look huge on the stream like this.
This lighting does nothing for anybody in this room.
This chair is not flattering, but it's so comfortable. Huh? It's the horizontal stripes. That's what's doing it. So we're getting back to that discussion we were having, though, about that idea of this another all-female paranormal TV show.
Right.
We've seen them come. We've seen them go. We've seen them never actually get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of people do that.
Like I said, and I'm not trying to talk about myself as being the know-all, be-all about television stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But these are conversations that we have. In fact, one of the producers on the show that I'm working on now, we've had long conversations about if an all-female paranormal team show could work.
Right.
As a television viewer,
Mm-hmm.
would you want to watch an all-female paranormal team?
No.
And why not?
I don't know. It depends on how it was done, too. So...
I mean, are you tuning this out automatically because they're pushing them out there as, you know, 5 sexy ladies?
No,
whatever?
I mean, something like that, or watching a bunch of girls giggle on TV and not take it seriously, that would bother me.
But you watch Total Divas.
I do.
So, as a person who is a fan of wrestling,
Yep.
I think Total Divas is a slap in the face to wrestling fans.
Okay.
Which is fine, because that's not really who they're marketing it for anyway.
Right.
But you're a fan of watching Total Divas, and you see that in that show, they act that way, but when it comes time to do the work, they take the work seriously.
Right.
Not that I've watched a lot of episodes, but I'm assuming.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's... Well, actually, the whole thing is pretty serious, and following the lives of them, like, professionally. Very... It's not really like, personal.
So
it's really to do with wrestling.
Isn't it possible, then, that this show could do the same thing, where, you know...
This show in particular, or a show in particular? Okay.
A show pushing women as being
That's I
sexy
would watch
female paranormal
that
investigators.
with brains. They have to be smart.
Well, again, we don't know if these
No,
particular
I'm
women
not.
are or not?
I'm not even talking about.
I know, but I'm
right
just
now.
qualifying it all so that nobody thinks that we're saying anything negative.
No, that's what I'm
I
saying.
know that you're not, but
in general, because you asked me a general question, would you watch a show with all female?
so then if that's the case, then I don't know why this wouldn't work as a television program overall.
It could work, but would I necessarily be totally interested? I'd have to check it out. I think people have made it so much of a joke, and women are really looked down in the paranormal a lot.
I'm saying this from a TV production standpoint. Yep. If it can be done, why hasn't it been done?
It's a very good question.
Why has there been 13, 14 years of paranormal television, and nobody's been able to make this work yet? Is it that they haven't found the right people? Is it that they haven't found the right format for the people that they've tried to use? It's a little of both. I mean, a TV show doesn't work because you have a great format and you just happen to be able to throw somebody into it, or because you have a great cast and you're able to work a format around them. It has to be a perfect mix of both.
Well, we know too. If you find the right people, you have to come up with a concept, and if they can't find a concept that works, or if a network's not buying the concept, then there's an issue.
It has to be a harmonious thing,
right? So.
And again, as I said, I don't really know.
Why it's worked for just guys.
I don't know anything about this show. I don't know if it's on a television network. I don't know if it's on...
I was reading in the comments that it's just to Amazon.
Okay. But that's a network. I mean, I would count that as a service anyway.
But not like on your television screen.
And I think that as Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix get more into this, right now they've purchased some old series. Like, for example, you can watch The Girly Ghost Hunters, I think, on Amazon or Hulu, one of the two of them.
I don't know.
Well, Greg and Dana Newkirk. Yes. Well, Dana was on a show pre-Ghost Hunters in Canada called Girly Ghost Hunters, and it's great. You have to see it.
Okay.
But that was a show that existed on a television network, but now they bought up the rights to stream it, and we're seeing more of that happen where some of these older shows are starting to be streaming only, and I think Netflix and Hulu and these services are looking at it saying, like, it's not really that expensive to produce these shows. We can throw a couple of these on and see what happens.
Yep.
And it's certainly, if you're them, it's certainly easier to distribute than it is when you're a cable network and you got to pick up all the advertisers and everything. So, it's worth taking the risk if you think it's something that could prove popular. So there's probably going to be more groups and more organizations that get a chance going forward than would have if they're just getting a network television deal. Now, I've had somebody ask me, multiple people have actually asked me over the last couple of weeks, like, how can I get onto TV? Well, first of all, like, don't make that your focus, as we've said many times. Don't make that your focus. Just go out and do good work, and TV will come and find you.
Right.
But also, don't focus on just TV, because you have the chance to do things in so many different fashions now.
Right.
That you can make yourself a voice. You can give yourself a voice without having to be on Destination America or on Travel Channel or on Sci-Fi Channel. You can give yourself a voice and still have a following. Like, you mentioned that you're going to be at the event at Mount Washington with Ty. Ty has a TV show that's a web series.
Right.
Hugely popular.
Yes.
And people know who he is from the web series. And there's some other ones too. I don't know why I'm not thinking of them, but there's a number of ones that are, kind of web only or stream only series that have taken off in popularity. And I think that, if you're smart, if you're Netflix, if you're Hulu, if you're one of these companies, you're going to go to some of the established brands in the paranormal.
Right.
And like, for example, when Ghost Hunters went off the air, and there was still a desire amongst the Ghost Hunters people to keep producing that show, I thought for sure, I was like, one of these streaming services is going to come and snatch it up. Because these shows aren't really all that expensive to produce. If you're producing, The Man in the High Castle, or some of these Netflix shows at, $1 million, $2 million per episode, for a quarter of that, you can produce high quality paranormal television, and it would still draw an audience. So I think that you're seeing the transition of television, and so you should probably transition your goals as well. It's not just about getting on a network show. And the other thing too, man, everybody thinks that, like, you're not anybody until you're on TV. How many people? John Zaffis was a somebody just popping onto TV shows here and there.
With social media being the way that it is right now, you can do anything and become a somebody. Whether, you have a talent, look at how many singers become famous just by going on YouTube or different things like that. You have so many outlets now. Things have changed so much, but that it's still there. Like, you can't get rid of the please let me be on TV so that way I can reach a broader audience and become more popular.
Listen. Just take it from me, from somebody who's had to look at himself on television before.
Agreed.
You might not want to see yourself on TV.
It's a scary, scary thing.
I use a little clip of when I was on, was it Most Terrifying Places in America? And I look at myself and I'm like, why do I show this to people? I look horrendous. I didn't have a beard. All you can see is like my 3 chins.
You have a wicked baby face without a beard.
And I was, why do I keep showing? Like, why don't I just let this die? Why don't I let this be like some embarrassing clip that somebody pulls out on me when they're roasting me at my 75th birthday,
That's terrible.
But
it's not that bad. And I don't know. I don't understand why people fight to be on TV, but I'm not the type of person, so I don't know. Maybe I'll never understand it.
Well, a little bit later on, I want to talk about nightmares.
Yes, you do.
I definitely want to get into this topic because I feel like over the last couple of weeks, we've taken phone calls from listeners. And listeners have called in and said, it's very cathartic to talk about this. And I feel like you guys are helping me. And I thought, tonight might be a good night because there's been a lot of bad stuff going on this week. There's been a lot of bad news. There's been a lot of bad situations, missile strikes, infighting and politics, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's weighing on people. And it doesn't always manifest the way that you think it does.
Right.
So if you're concerned about what's going on the world political stage, you're not going to necessarily have a nightmare about Donald Trump firing missiles or about Syrian people attacking fellow Syrian people with chemical weapons, but it might manifest in other ways. And I think that and I'm not going to sit here and be armchair dream psychologist and analyze everybody's dreams, but I've read enough about it that I can probably see little bits and pieces of patterns and of tropes that happen in people's dreams. So we can certainly discuss it, but it can be cathartic too, just to talk about it.
Right.
The problem with me with my nightmares, and I have, when I wake up from a nightmare, I mean, I'm terrified. But the problem is, for the most part, I don't remember any of it 5 or 10 minutes later. There were ones that I had when I was younger that stuck with me, and that would be recurring. But some of them now, and obviously as you grow as a person, what scares you changes. So when I was a kid, it might have been about me getting chased or something bad happening to me. But now as you become older, you become a parent, all of a sudden it's about your child being chased, your child having some sort of a problem. So, and different responsibilities will reflect different types of nightmares too. So we can get into all of that coming up a little bit later on. I think that it will be a worthwhile discussion. I also think it'll be very interesting if we can talk about our own nightmares.
I was going to say, how personal is this going to get tonight?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be the most terrifying nightmare that you've ever had, but, we can talk a little bit about some of the recurring themes that happen in our nightmares. For example, I had a lot of nightmares about being chased when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of nightmares about being lost when I was younger. And these would pop up again and again and again. And what's really interesting is I think that when you have the same dream over and over again, you would think you'd be able to master it, especially when you realize, wait, I'm in a dream that I've had before. You think that would be a moment of lucidity where you could control the situation. And that happens, I think, in positive dreams. But in nightmares, there's still like that loss of control a lot of the times.
Everything that you're saying right now makes me feel like I don't dream like a normal person.
You probably don't, but that's one of the things that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
I'm
really sitting here trying to rack my brain of what's a terrifying nightmare that I've had, but everything that you're describing, I've never dreamt of being chased at all, ever. And I feel like that's probably a pretty common dream for people, but not for me.
I don't know how common it is for everybody. I mean, obviously people have different situations in their lives.
Right. But I feel like it would be a typical nightmare.
Like, have you ever had a dream in which you're falling?
Yes, but I have an explanation for that.
Well, I mean, the general explanation for a falling dream is usually that there's changes in your life that are going on. And have you ever died in your dream?
Yes, I have.
Which always
is a good story.
We'll get into that. But what I've always found interesting about dreams of people dying is that they immediately wake up with, like, despair.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I just died in my dream. But that's not what it means.
Did for me.
You died?
To be determined.
All right, well, we'll get into that. But, you know, for example, one of the old wives' tales is that if somebody dies in a dream, I don't know if you're familiar with the old wives' tale, what it means.
Actually, I'm not, so please fill me in.
The old wives' tale, at least the one that I know, is that if somebody dies in a dream, that actually means somebody's going to have a baby.
Also, very strange.
And that if you want to extrapolate that old wives' tale a little bit more, you can extrapolate it to be that whoever died, the gender of the person that died, is the gender of the baby that's coming. So...
I've never told you this story before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll have to save it.
We're waiting for Moniz to call in from the field, so I'm trying not to get too deep into the conversation.
Have we even heard from him?
I know that he said that he was going to... He asked me for the number and a time to call, but I haven't heard back since then. So
okay, well...
See, he's out hunting Sasquatch tonight.
Right, so what's going to make him stop hunting Sasquatch to talk to us?
He's also probably in the woods.
Right.
So I don't think he understands the concept of cell phones and how they work. And the need for towers.
No, he has not.
So
oh, God.
I think he doesn't understand, like, the deeper you get, the harder it's going to be to call in. No.
Hey.
If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't.
Oh, I say jump into our discussion. We can take a break for him if we need to. And that way we don't take away from the discussion. Because I feel like this one might last more than an hour. This could get really weird.
Well, let me just tell you the quick story.
Okay, I'm listening.
I had a dream. I was in my mid-20s. And my grandfather was still alive. My grandmother was too, on my father's side. My mother's parents had passed. And I woke up having this terrifying dream that my grandfather had just died. And it was just heartbreaking. And I mentioned it to somebody, and they said to me, well, don't you know the old wives' tale about that? I said, no, I don't. When somebody dies in a dream, it means somebody's having a baby. It's like, well, who could be having a baby? Like,
right.
I don't even know, like, who it could be. Like, is my sister pregnant again? Like, I don't know what's going on. And then a very, very short time later, you know, we found out that my wife was expecting, and it was a total surprise. And this person that told me about the old wives' tale also told me, you know, whoever died in the dream is going to be the gender of the baby. And it turned out that was the case. Right. So it was pretty unnerving. And I haven't had a dream about somebody dying since.
Okay.
That was I think the one and only time that I ever had a dream about somebody dying.
It's pretty interesting.
I did have a dream. See, I don't want to get too much into my wife's health issues. Right. But there was a complication during the pregnancy. And everybody was a little bit upset and a little bit worried about it. And I was concerned. It was I was trying not to seem like I was concerned. I was trying to play it cool, but I was pretty worried. And I had a dream one night that I was going to visit my grandmother, my mother's mother, who was very much into ghosts and into this kind of stuff and fostered my interest in it when I was younger. I was going to go visit her at her house. Now, she had died probably about 8 years before. And her house had burned down a couple of years before this. So, whatever. In my dream, I walked into the house, same as it had always been. She's sitting at the table where she always sat with her cup of coffee and her cigarette. And she's like, come on in, sit down. And we had a whole conversation where I brought her up to speed with everything that was going on in my life. Just as as if we were talking as if I'd gone on a regular Sunday to go visit her. But we're just talking about everything that had been happening over the last couple of years. And I happened to mention, we're having a baby and I'm really worried about what's going on. Right. And she looked at me and she said, don't worry. I've seen him. And he's fine. And he's beautiful. And he has the most beautiful blonde hair. Very, very blonde hair. And don't let it get too long. Because if you let his hair get too long, it'll start to get curly at the end, and he's going to start to look like a girl. So don't let him get his hair too long. And I was like, okay. And she told me all this. And, I mean, sure enough, he came along, and he was fine. And he was very, very blonde, and he still is.
Yes,
if his hair gets long, it doesn't really curl, but it gets a little weird. You know how, like, I don't know if I've... You know how, like my beard will, like, curl out?
Right.
Like, his hair will do kind of the same thing. So I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So that wasn't really a nightmare, but it was... I mean, I don't even know if I would call that a dream. I almost call that more of a visitation through the dream.
I agree.
So that's, you know, that's kind of my somebody dying dream, and talking to somebody who had died dream kind of rolled into one story. As somebody who, let me just ask you this question. As somebody who can talk to the dead, do you ever have dreams where dead people are talking to you? People who have passed on are talking to you in the dream?
Yes.
I don't mean like where you're using your psychic ability in a dream. I mean like you're just sitting down having a conversation with somebody who's no longer with us.
Yes.
And do you think that it's just your mind having the dream, or do you think it's that person reaching out and contacting you?
No, it's them reaching out and contacting me. Like I said, I don't feel like I dream like a normal person, because I'll describe it to people as I'll be in a jungle or something and watching pink spotted elephants walk by, and then all of a sudden this person who's passed will come, say something to me quickly, and then leave. And what they say has meaning, or what they say, you know, would come true, or something I needed to know. And so, you know, the weird dream, because we all dream about weird stuff, is still there. It's almost like they interrupt broadcast for this. Now I'm leaving. I've had dreams where I've actually sat and had a conversation with a past loved one, but I'm in a location that doesn't make sense. But it didn't matter. For example, I dreamt that it was my 21st birthday. I was bartending, and the night before, I dreamt that my grandmother, who passed when I was 7, came and sat at the bar, and I sat with her, and we had an entire conversation about how even though she couldn't be there physically, she was still there, and it was a big milestone in my life. And I woke up crying because it was so real, and she had told me that they were throwing a party for me. I was having a surprise party that night.
She ruined the surprise?
Yes, but the funny part is
how do you throw a surprise party for a psychic?
You can't. So I hadn't an idea, but she confirmed it. But the funniest part of that entire thing is when anytime there was a surprise something for my mom, or vice versa for her, they would tell each other, so that way, you know, you didn't show up looking like a garbage bag. So they were always prepared for it. It was always like their secret that that's what they did. So the fact that she did that with me was my validation that that's exactly what was happening. So, well,
we can definitely get more into the dream conversation coming up. Right now, we do have a call coming in on the VIP line. I'm assuming it's Matt Moniz out in the field. Matt, is that you? Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
How you doing tonight?
All right. We had a lot of fun. I'm here with Dave McClellan from BFRO. Squatchachusetts. We were out in Middleborough investigating some past stuff, and we're going over a recent sighting. I'll let Dave talk about the sighting, the trackways.
Oh, yes, in Plymouth. A woman sent to the BFRO a nice track line coming through her property from 2 weeks ago at Storm Stella. And she was out in her property before it started snowing. It was fine, just barely a couple inches. It was perfect. She come out a few hours later after the heavy snow, and there was a nice trackway coming right through her property, right into the woods.
I mean,
I'm going to say they were 15-inch tracks. We're still talking to her, working with her. There's really there was nothing to cast or anything, but just very interesting. She's on a cul-de-sac. It was behind her house, like where there should be no people walking through her yard. So, and she sent it to us like the next morning. So it was very fresh, good pictures. She even shot some video of it.
And I saw some of the photos. Dave, I got to ask you though: is it harder to be able to judge looking at prints in deep snow like that as opposed to like mud prints or something like that? Does the snow make it extra difficult?
Actually, yes, because a lot of the shapes look different, and the terrain moves up and down, and the way the foot strikes the surface. A couple of them were pretty clear, definitely a foot you could see some toes, but the other ones are. Plus, there's a drag too. While it's walking, the way the feet are striking the top kind of drags the print. So, some of them were kind of distorted, some of them, but there's I think two of them that really showed the outline of a big foot and a, no pun intended, but a couple toes. And like I said, this came in the middle of a blizzard, and she noticed it just after it started snowing. So very suspicious of what could have been walking around like that. It was definitely 2 feet. She did have the sense of mind to go out with a tape measure. We got some good pictures with the tape. But after a few days of the wind and the weather changes, they distort. There was really nothing we could do as far as making a cast or copies. But we do have the pictures and, her testimony of, that there's nobody out there. She's looking out the window throughout the storm, and nobody coming up and down the road, nobody going, like I said, she's on a cul-de-sac. There's really no reason for a person or something of that description to be walking through.
But there's been a number of sightings in that area over the last couple of years. It seems like the Middleborough area is becoming a hotbed for these type of reports.
Yes, actually a good chunk of southeast Mass. A couple from Hanson, one from, actually those were sightings. There was a good visual sighting of a creature running across the road in Hanson. West Bridgewater, Plymouth. We've had some other people talk about stuff from the Pine Hills that come down from Plymouth towards Miles Standish Forest.
Whoa. The Pine Hills, man. You're talking about like a mile and a half from my house. Now you're freaking me out.
Oh, really? Yeah, we've had no good sightings there, but some good vocalizations. One woman described it as a high-pitched scream that they thought something was getting, like a woman getting killed. Like a lot of people described that as a sound like someone getting murdered up there. Like, what the heck is that? And just a lot of strange things, plus with these recent footprints in Plymouth. And it's not far from the coast. It made you kind of scratch your head, and I think that was just up before Miles Standish, before you come down and get to Miles Standish.
So then now, these tracks were seen in the snow, in the deep snow during the winter storm. How do you guys go out tonight and try and go about tracking down where this creature might be?
Well, we didn't act tonight. We were in Rocky Gutter where there was a couple incidents last year with a couple men that were in the woods, and they were actually scared out of there by some pretty heavy-duty vocalizations that kind of unnerved them, and they hightailed it out of there. But Rocky Gutter, it seems like from Middleborough, there was a couple sightings on Route 44 reported to the BFRO, visual sightings over the last couple of years. The triangle itself, it's all connected. Where we were tonight, there was a good set of power lines. Tonight was more of the season starting. We got a couple new members that haven't been out in the field with us that just kind of wanted to get their feet wet, and we were showing them what we use, some of the techniques we use. We really didn't go far, but we're kind of scouting out. So when the weather's nice, we're going to set up a nice base camp, and we'll all go in different directions with radios, keep in touch, and it's hit or miss. Like we were just saying a little while ago, most times you go out and do this, you're really not going to, we don't expect to hear or see anything, so anything you do find, we're going from, tonight was more of a going on hearsay where some past incidents happened, and like I said, it's hit or miss, but it's still wet, still very muddy, so the next month or so before it dries out, there's been a lot of rain lately. It's actually a good time to get out and see what, you'll see tracks from all the critters walking through the woods.
I mean, if you want a little bit of advice on, obviously I don't have the experience that you have, with trying to track these creatures. But if you find that you're desperate to try something, I suggest stripping Matt Moniz down, having him stand out there naked, and having all the female Bigfoots come and try to mate with him.
That is the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, maybe we could cover them with honey and barbecue sauce. And
This is getting weirder.
It might actually work. So,
Ugh, gross.
So Dave, how can people follow along with Squatchachusetts if they want to check out more?
Squatchachusetts, we have a Facebook page. We also have a website. That's based out of Granby, out by the Club and Reservoir. It was Jonathan Wilk that started that, put that together. Me, him, and a few members. And it's pretty interesting group where we really reach out to people. We welcome anyone to go out with us. It's very communal. There's been, over the years, I'm not sure you're familiar with the Bigfoot community, but a lot of bickering, a lot of jealousy, a lot of that stuff. And I think that happens in any realm of the paranormal.
True, yeah.
Very competitive, very, what's this one up to? What's this one up to? But we're more kind of, we encourage people to get involved, come out with us, teach them about the outdoors. We have a couple really good members that are out in the Berkshires they're actual outdoor guides, so they've been out in the woods forever, like grown up. They still do guides for groups, and so when we have a get-together or I don't want to say a conference, but an expedition where a lot of people come, they'll show people how to track, how to make casts, survival skills, and staying out in the woods if you're going out to stay out overnight. And
you talk about the controversy, Dave. I'll tell you this. We had Tom Biscardi on the show 5 years ago, and people still, every week, we get comments on that episode from people who are calling him out and talking about that whole hoaxing thing. So, I mean, it certainly definitely is a minefield of a field, but that's a good thing about Squatchachusetts is they can go out with you guys. They can learn how to do it the right way.
Yeah, like I said, we're very, we had a couple people tonight that have never been out. Like I said, tonight was more of we were taking a few newbies to us that are involved in other types of paranormal fields, but they kind of want to get involved with always had an interest in the Sasquatch phenomena, and they had a good time. It was enough to just get out in the woods. We were showing them the gear we use. Did a couple wood knocks. We weren't expecting much, but we sit and listen for a while. Put on the thermal imager, scan the woods, just things that gives them an idea of what we do.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for checking in with us, and let us know if you guys find anything, and certainly let us know about what comes up in the future.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for having me on, and it was a pleasure with Matt taking us out. Matt really is very familiar with the area.
I mean, you can bring him back if you want, or you can leave him out in the woods. Either way. All right. Have a great night, Dave. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you very much.
Later,
have a good night.
See you later, Moniz. Be safe, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
That's Dave McCullough of Squatchachusetts. You can check them out online and really follow along with what they do. They have fun. They're fun guys. So we're going to take a break right now for the news. When we come back on the other side, we'll bring Melody back in for the Week in Weird, and we'll talk more about dreams. We'll talk more about breaking down dreams and more about what it could all mean here on Spooky South Coast. And you can get involved in the discussion, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Jump in the chat room on SpookySouthCoast.com. Or, we'd rather just talk to you on the phone. Way easier. We'll be right back. New Bedford.